Cameroon as President Paul Biya ignores an angry opposition and moves on to convene the Electoral College for December the 2020 for the election of regional councillors. That is the top story. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us on the primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. We are live from Cameroon's economic capital city, Douala, Equinoxe Central News Desk. We are 6 p.m. in Douala, Cameroon. It is 5 p.m. in Accra, Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, you are on to the primetime edition of the news on Equinoxe television, broadcast live from the Central News Desk. We begin with a human interest story. Elements of the National Police have opened an investigation to track down men of the underworld who are reported by angry inhabitants of Mbanga, a town in the Mungo division of the littoral region of Cameroon. According to the inhabitants, the men suspected to be men of the underworld have been causing havoc, terrorizing inhabitants and giving them sleepless night, as Smart Njikan Gabriel tells us in the following report.
The population of Mbanga laid their hands on an alleged bandit. He is considered to be one of those who has been terrorizing the inhabitants of the locality for a while now. We were sitting outside when the lady came out shouting. That is how we followed the boy. He managed to jump into a house, then used an old cloth to cover himself, where we finally caught him and took him to the police station. As he was caught, some of the population vented their anger on him. After he was seriously beaten, the population took him to the police station, where they are expecting that security forces will do their work by not allowing him out very soon.
And inhabitants of that is over 1,000 inhabitants of Marwa, that is Merem, a village in the Diamare division of the Fano region of Cameroon, have been rendered homeless by heavy floods. Heavy floods as a result of a heavy downpour recorded in that part of the conflict-stricken Fano region of Cameroon. Innocent Azet tells us more in the following report.
A dry topography in Merem village in Dagala subdivision, Jamare division of the far north region of Cameroon, transformed into a lake after heavy rainfall.
Nous sommes en train de traverser pour aller de l'autre côté et voir ces personnes aujourd'hui sans abri, victimes des inondations.
Crossing Merem, found 15 kilometers from the central town Marwa to the other side, now requires courage.
C'est pas facile avec la peur dans le ventre, mais nous allons arriver.
A canoe or boat as a result of the high water level. The inundation has brought untold misery on the over 4,000 inhabitants who have been affected in one way or the other. Destruction of their houses and properties.
Même quelque chose à dormir, même il y a déjà certaines choses est déjà parti. Et des choses aussi on a déjà voyagé.
Loss of cattle as floods carried them away. Destruction of crops and stocked maize.
Même quelque chose à manger, on ne peut pas avoir ça.
Almost 1,000 villagers have been rendered homeless and compelled to sleep under trees, thereby exposed to snakes, mosquitoes and other harmful vectors, thus vulnerable to deadly illnesses like cholera, malaria and others.
Ils sont, n'est-ce pas, supportés, n'est-ce pas, être, n'est-ce pas, face aux maladies que vous connaissez.
Avec les saisons de pluie comme ça, là, il y a les serpents, il y a les épiles, il y a tout ça là. Il y a beaucoup de pitié à Merem. Oh Dieu, regardez-nous.
The miserable and exasperated looking villagers, like the case of this 80-year-old girl, keeps shedding tears as their hearts have been destroyed by floods. Locals of Merem also fear drowning as everywhere is flooded, with mobility of people to the other side now an adventure. Transporting a sick child to the hospital is a great risk, as the flood sometimes reaches not only the waist but also chest level for taller persons.
C'est l'eau là, il a au niveau des coups comme ça. Les autres endroits là, ça l'eau là, ça vient au niveau des têtes. C'est difficile pour amener, pour transporter l'enfant à l'hôpital, là, c'est difficile.
No authority has been able to descend to the scene to take stock of the inaccessible situation of this village.
Voilà encore, n'est-ce pas, le ciel qui signale, encore, n'est-ce pas, les pluies encore. Ces enfants vont faire comment? Présentement, même d'ici, même pour aller dans notre village, c'est compliqué.
In an emergency, ruler of the Kayo chiefdom decided to lend his house to families rendered homeless by the flood while awaiting government's reaction.
Floods and inundations are common features in the far north region of Cameroon, one of the regions suffering numerous challenges running from natural catastrophes to the security challenges posed by elements of the Boko Haram terrorist group that has been operating in that part of the far north region of Cameroon for over 10 years so far. And of course, the situation is yet to be fully contained by the government of Cameroon. These challenges, according to militants of the CRM political party, Solomon Biya, makes it difficult for Cameroonians to believe that the government of Cameroon will succeed in its universal healthcare system that has been introduced. He believes such things would have better or been implemented sometime in 2012 when Cameroon was relatively stable, not now that challenges ranging from insecurity in northwest and southwest regions and natural catastrophes are affecting Cameroon, thereby reducing or draining the pockets of the government of Cameroon. And I will stay with natural catastrophes to talk about floods, and taking you from the far north to the southwest region of Cameroon, where several houses have been carried away and properties destroyed in Fiango, in Kumba, and Mbonji, a locality in Mbonge subdivision. All of the meme of the conflict hit southwest region of Cameroon. Simat Njikangebre tells us more in the following report.
Malabo Quarter in Fiango neighborhood of Kumba 2 subdivision. Water floods a resident, causing its owners to sleep outside.
We used to experience this havoc, but not as so grievous as it is now. When rain used to fall, there will be flood, but not too much like this. But since people have been throwing dirt inside the water, the place is no more deep. And when rain comes like this, the flood will come up right at the house level.
An inhabitant whose house was also flooded as a result of the heavy downpour in Kumba over the weekend says the damages were enormous on him.
I've incurred losses here. That sugarcane farm there, everything inside the water. I planted yams there. Everything has been swept away in bags.
For him, the municipal authorities are aware of the situation and he is calling on them to react swiftly.
Negligence of the council, because they're supposed to put people to protect them from throwing dirt into the water, and this has caused this damage here.
It was the first time such is happening to the inhabitants of Malabo Quarters. The population of Ekombe Bunji in Bonge subdivision were also strapped by heavy downpour this weekend. The runoff from the rain met people in their houses and forced others to stay back at home. Only those who had pressing assignments were seen inside the rain. They are now calling on the government to come to their rescue.
Security is also a concern to Cameroonians, especially at this point in time, given that Cameroonians are uncertain as to what happens in the next minutes, in the next hours, and the days ahead. Just after the convening of the Electoral College for the voting of regional councillors, it should be recalled that the no to the regional elections in Cameroon from Professor Maurice Kamto, National President of the Kamer Renaissance Movement political party, Nijon Frundi of the Social Democratic Front political party, Edith Kawala of the CPP party, and the Popular Action political party could not stop President Paul Biya from moving on with plans to organize regional elections in a security and politically unstable Cameroon. In a decree signed this day, President Paul Biya convened the Electoral College on December 6, 2020 for the election of regional councillors. The vote, according to the decree signed by President Paul Biya, will begin at 8 a.m. and shall end at 6 p.m. on the 6th of December 2020. Cameroonians are, however, expressing fears given that the opposition leaders had warned that President Paul Biya or the Biya-led government had warned the Biya-led government of plans when it moved to force with the elections without having resolved the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Some of the leaders of the opposition promised a nationwide protest demonstration if the government in Yaoundé moved ahead or maintained its decision to organize regional elections in Cameroon. Despite the warnings coming from these leaders of the opposition and some actors of the civil society in Cameroon, the president moved ahead this day to fix a day for the elections. And of course, we shall be talking about this in the second segment of news with our guest this day on the Primetime Newscast. Meantime, inhabitants of Sopo and the entire town of Oboya in the southwest region of Cameroon are hoping that the son of theirs, appointed recently as the ambassador of Cameroon to Ethiopia, would take the Anglophone matter to the African Union's table at least. Some of these concerns were raised over the weekend as the people of the FACO convened to celebrate one of theirs appointed for the very first time as ambassador in the Republic of Cameroon. Derek Jato tells us more from Boya in the southwest.
His Excellency Churchill Ewombe Monono was appointed last August 12, 2020 as Cameroon's ambassador to Ethiopia, who doubles as the Cameroon permanent representative to African Union and the United Nations Economic Commission to Africa. Many say the story at home is positively changing.
Because only this appointment has enabled us with a lot of communication with our brothers who are in the bush to drop their arms and come back to town.
Please leave the bushes and come. Churchill has been elevated.
And the great support people, through their leader Chief Etina Monono, says the journey to peace has been facilitated by the appointment of their son.
So we are behind the president for the appointment, and we hope that this appointment is going to bring the long-awaited peace. We are not happy to see the country the way it is. So this is something that is encouraging to all of us, and hopefully shall bring us all together.
Senator Mbela Muki Charles, after enumerating Ambassador Churchill's contribution to the Southwest politics, delivered the message of the FACO elite.
As we take off today for Ethiopia, God will take care of you. He will inspire you, and He will carry along the dreams and aspirations of the people of FACO nation. That is our wish, that is our prayer. God bless you.
To FACO chiefs, headed by Chief Ndike Richard Kombi as president, Paul Biya has remembered FACO, and FACO will always remember him.
I still want to assure you that we stand by him, and for the fact that we remember us, we are ready to remember him whenever he arrives.
As the son of the land, the civic reception reserved for him was huge. But this career diplomat is aware of what awaits him. Ambassador Churchill Ewombe Monono has been given the top job at a time the war in his birthplace is still on and changing faces, with other diplomats asking questions of what is actually going on in Cameroon that cannot be solved for 4 years now running. And as a fresh mind coming on board, not only the Anglophones but the entire world waits to see how he will handle the Anglophone crisis file when next it will be brought on the table again at the level of the African Union and the United Nations. And as an Anglophone, he will not only be telling the war story of his country, but his own story and the story of his people that have been killed, others in prison, and some displaced in their hundreds of thousands. This writer and one of the finest communicators Cameroon is proud of. The 59-year-old diplomat is not new in such circles. Starting from the beginning, during his address he called for forgiveness.
Therefore, forgive all those I think who have helped me in my public life, and I hope they will do same to me if they think I have also helped.
But reminded all that he will always defend the national interest of President Paul Biya anytime and anywhere.
When it comes to the defense of President Paul Biya's national interest, I don't care whose axe is God.
The civic reception was attended among others by the Nigerian Consul General for the Northwest and Southwest regions, His Excellency Ibrahim Mohammed Bashi, and the motion of support and thanks to President Paul Biya was handed to Governor Bernardo Kaliabilai, the Southwest Governor, to President Paul Biya.
To take one step forward.
And we stay with the Anglophone crisis to talk about the people caught in the war that is ongoing. The war has been ongoing for over 3 years, running in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Meantime, the Wimbom people of the Donga Mountain division of the crisis-hit northwest region of Cameroon, on their part, have expressed their desire to see an immediate end to the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions, which has not left the Wimbom land, the Ndu and Kamer central subdivisions indifferent, meeting under the canopy of their development and cultural body. We could Douala chapter, the Wimbom people raised concerns that the Anglophone crisis is standing as a major hindrance to their many development projects back in their villages, considering that the effects back home, or the effective back to school home, is uncertain with regards to the crisis which is ongoing vis-a-vis the schedule of October the 5th, 2020 in Cameroon. The Wimbom people called on the powers that be to bring back peace to the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon in order to ensure a normalcy. We hooked up with one of the Wimbom elites who is a diasporan and got his view in the following extract.
We do not want any human being to lose their lives. So therefore, if the Biya government knows that they care about the people, Biya should come out and declare a ceasefire and let our people live. We want complete peace in all parts of Dongan Manton division. We want complete peace in all Wimbom community. So we do not want a cosmetic, we do not want a cover-up. We want complete peace. We are trying by all costs to bring peace, but this thing should be the problem of the whole state of the Cameroon state of government, that they should come and declare a ceasefire to the whole territory of the southern Cameroon, and peace will come back. We do need something that is concrete, genuine and honest. We do not want cosmetics.
And bringing together Wimbom elites from in and around the city to their new hold across the economic capital, their honorable member of parliament who was also present said he called on his people to be law-abiding, to consider peaceful measures in resolving the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. And of course, bringing together Wimbum elites from in and out of the city to their hall, their new hall in the economic capital city. Their honorable member of parliament for the Donga Mountain Center, who was also present, said he called on his people to be law-abiding, to consider peaceful measures in resolving the armed conflict in the northeast and southwest regions. Take a listen to him in the following extract.
The Northwest is going through very difficult moments, and we cannot be indifferent. Kamer in particular is my place, although it has been peaceful for some time, but I keep asking my people to remain peaceful. They shouldn't engage violence against state authorities. They should respect state institutions. That's why I had to be present here to talk to them, to make them understand that we have problems in all our homes, but we can solve this problem without being violent. We can solve this problem without engaging in violent activities. We ask the state that these are our problems, and they look into it. So I call on my brothers to continue preaching peace like we've been preaching. I'm very proud to say that my people in Kamer have remained peaceful, and that's why they have not been sleeping in the bushes, because they refused to solve the problem through violence. I'm very proud to say that my people have been going to school for the past 3 years, and which is priceless, because something that many people have lost during the past 4 years. So I'm happy that all the children in Kamer have been going to school. I continue asking them to send all children in Donga Mountain to school, and Northwest as a whole, because education is the backbone of everything for a child. So they should send their children to school. And I come here as one, because when we are together, we gain more. That's why we, the Wikuda and Douala, decided that we should support our president, Mr. Ntafu Joseph, to make sure that this hall is erected. And now you see the people are enjoying the hall, they are living in a good environment, and we continue pushing for more development in our land.
And the insecure atmosphere in the Anglophone regions of Cameroon is also affecting economic activities. And recently, inhabitants of Limbe, precisely those of Manaobe, are encouraging buyers to come to their locality, indicating that that area of the seaside resort town of Limbe is relatively calm. But Davidson Mimo tells us that people are not ready to go to the market in that part of Limbe, especially on Mondays that has been baptized as traditional ghost town days in the northeast and southwest regions of Cameroon. His report from Limbe.
According to the second deputy mayor of Limbe 3 Council, a market is the very first revenue source of every council.
Who's the economy of Limbe 3? We cannot be taking our economy and go and give it to Limbe 1.
However, the opening of the Manaobe market in Limbe 3 subdivision still has some challenges for the local population to fully utilize the market.
Limbe 3 is the heart of Cameroon when it concerns crayfish. The women in Limbe had to come because they have dry fish, but they could not make it because of the road. So, because of the road, that's why most of the sheds are empty.
Locals who turn out during the opening express satisfaction as the economy shall be boosted.
People who enjoy using their own environment or buying from their own market rather than going down to town, and from there the market will grow.
The women of Limbe 3 subdivision say the market shall serve as a feeder with raw foodstuff to market in the cities.
We are in this area like a royal area. We must sell we sell in a lower rate so that the people who are coming to buy, they will take it to their urban area and sell it and have their own profit.
Farm to the market is a short distance, which will permit things maybe to be cheaper even than that of the market in town. So
have fresh fish from the sea, crayfish. You see the vegetable, very fresh. But you see some people go right to Moya to go and buy vegetable. Before bringing them down to Limbe, the thing will be somehow some kind of.
Most of the crops are goes to Limbe when they come from Limbe 3. Be a liaison between Limbe 3 and the city council.
The new market located at Manaobe, some 1,500 meters away from the base of the Cameroon Elite Force with French acronym the B. The locals whose main occupation is either farming or fishing say, with the traditional Monday ghost town observed within the city, the market shall operate hitch-free as they are secured.
We go to the market now, places are locked because of the bee base here. We are open and we sell because of the security tight.
It's our advantage and we are sure of security.
The Manaobe market has a capacity of 20 stores, 60 open shades in 3 blocks, and a space of over 500 meter squares to accommodate more than 1,000 persons. It shall operate fully on Mondays and Thursdays.
That's it for the first part. Coming up is Talking Point. Thanks for joining us on Talking Point. We are receiving politician Fabrice Lena, who is the Secretary General of the Popular Action Political Party in Cameroon. Fabrice Lena, thanks for accepting our invitation.
Good evening to you, for me, Armstrong. Thank you very much for having me this evening as your guest. I'll use this opportunity to greet Cameroonians and to take it easy with the uncertainty of the political situation in the country now, and that this is a time for deep reflection for us to do what is right.
Now, I must comment that you are here early enough, you respected time enough, unlike that is not something we find it common with politicians. Now, you are part of the news. When I started with the first report, you are here present in the studio. What caught your attention in the 28 minutes broadcast?
Yeah, I will say that first of all, the news of the President of the Republic calling for elections on the 6th regional elections on the 6th of December. That's the first thing. I would say it's not surprising. It's not surprising because the government in which we are living is that of dictatorship. And this is characteristics of dictatorship. It is a commonplace to see that the government's interest is to push through their agenda. And in pushing through their agenda, they don't care who they hurt. And in their clumsy and self-interest manner of doing things, it is left now for Cameroonians to take their responsibilities. I think in line with the regional elections, the Popular Action Party had accepted invitation from the CRM party to call on Cameroonians for a joint task force of resistance to this government.
Yeah.
And
all right. Just before we get to that, you made a statement which is I want us to talk a little bit on that. You said the fact that the president went ahead despite the no's that came from opposition political parties, including yours, the Popular Action Political Party, the SDF and the CRM, is a sign, that is a symptom of dictatorship. Why so? The president's decree says it is in line with the text in Cameroon, and the president is in his right place to convene the electorate for such elections.
Yeah, it is only in Cameroon that it is the president who convenes elections, it's the president who convenes electoral college, it is the president who, so everything in Cameroon is by decree, and it is obvious to everyone that that is a symbol of dictatorship. That's the first thing. And then the second thing that we should know is that there is crisis, Anglophone crisis that is ongoing, that the government has been unable to solve for the past 4 years, which is a preoccupation of the people. In 2018, they forced through presidential elections. In 2020, they forced through municipal elections, and 2020 again, they still want to force through regional elections. Look at the casualties or the effects that the 2000 elections caused for the people of the Northwest and Southwest.
Is that why your party said no to these elections?
Before that, our party had took its stance for no to elections since 2013, because after observing what happened in 2011 and 2013 presidential and municipal elections respectively, our party decided that based on the circumstances in Cameroon now, elections will never change anything in place.
What circumstances?
When we talk of the circumstances, we are talking of are talking of the electoral body, we are talking of the electoral code, we are talking of the authorities that manage elections in Cameroon, because all the processes are rigged, all the processes are not properly managed, the sphere of competition is not fair enough, and those who are appointed are satisfying the whims and caprices of the ruling party. And in this context, you will not tell me that you are going for fair competition and they are coming up with regional elections. What are the functions and the activities concretely that are going to be performed by these voted regional councillors? And they are talking about chiefs, and I don't know if that has anything to do with the special status, because they are talking about the 10 regions of Cameroon. This comes to remind us once more that this government's issue is not to protect its citizens, is not to listen to its citizens, but push through its own agenda, which do not even reflect the aspiration of the people. And I want to tell Cameroonians that it is up to us to tell them that, well, what you have done is enough, and enough is enough for you people to stop doing that, for us to take the destiny of our country. Because if you want to go in the logic of saying that it is a challenge for leaders, it's not about me, Lena, it's not about John Dennis, president of PAP, or Maurice Kamto, president of CRM. It's about Cameroon. And if we should be talking about Cameroon, you should be worried that what will become of Cameroon in 2030? What is the image of Cameroon in the international community? What are they talking about Cameroon? That should be our preoccupation. And someone should be worried on taking decisions that it is daring to change something, because you have to overcome that fear and stand to dare to change something. And that is why we are calling on Cameroonians, not based on the coalition of elections for political positioning. No, it is based on resistance for a common force and common goal, which is political transition.
Which you believe is going to work, because one will think you people just want to be alive as a political force in Cameroon, as a political party. I said so because you started by indicating that the fact that President Paul Biya went ahead to convene electorate today is not a surprise to you, and your party actually warned that this move should not be taken by the president, giving the impression that you knew what was going to be the outcome, but you actually wanted something. You gave Cameroon the impression that you can win and actually succeed in threatening the Yaoundé government to hold on.
Actually, we are not threatening, we are playing our role, because the Popular Action Party, like other opposition parties of CRM, CPP, we have followers, we have militants, and these militants are Cameroonians, and they have their aspirations that they send to us as the frontline leaders to take to the public, to the national and international community. And these are the preoccupations that we come to the media to talk about. So if we had earlier said that it is wrong for the government to take such move at this time, it is not threatening at all. It's telling the government that do the right thing. You are there because of the people. You are using taxpayers' income. You're supposed to do the right thing. So if you are not governing well, it is the responsibility of the people to replace a bad government with a good one.
Okay, now moving further, you are talking about there is already a coalition between your political party and the CRM, and you people intend to take it further as of this announcement that came from Yaoundé to other moves that will be made public. Now, will there actually be unison in such moves? I'm talking about manifestation.
I understand your point of view very well. I think that talking about bringing progressive forces together for a manifestation that can change,
that has always been a major
that can change things. Just permit me give you this small analysis. I had said it before. The government is very tactical and very manipulative, and Cameroonians are falling in that logic. And I always tell members of the opposition and leaders, do not fall victim to these tribalistic tendencies and sentiments. That is the principal cause. If in 2008 it was not Maurice Kamto, John Dennis or Kawala that said let Cameroonians go out, Cameroonians saw that things were not moving, they went out, but they were not coordinated by a leader or a movement with actions of non-violence. So in this situation, the first thing is that Cameroonians need to know that the problems in Cameroon is affecting every cultural group, every tribe, and everyone. And our message should not be tribalistic messages. It should be a message that is transnational, which touch all the group of people of Cameroon, talking about the north, talking about the south, talking about the west, talking about the coastal people. And if there is manifestation in Cameroon where all these cultural groups are represented, the Nordists are there, the Southeast are there, the people of the grassfield are there, the coastal Sawa people are there, and the South people are there. The first thing that will come to the mind of an army, a military or a police officer will be that, hey, these are Cameroonians and not a group of people. It is not a particular tribe. It's not a particular clan. And when there is mixture of all Cameroonians, it will be difficult for the military to retaliate. And the geographical location too is very important. You people can go and do a manifestation in Marwa, in Gaundere, and it will become like the Anglophone crisis, because at the peripheries of Cameroon it's not going to affect the Yaoundé regime, and they will do everything to repress it. But the geographical location of Yaoundé is very strategic. That is where the ministers are. That is where the president is. And all manifestations that have been successful in Africa, it is in the capital city. And with the composition of Yaoundé population, with approximately more than 3 million people, looking at the representation, national representation of the different cultures, villages that are there, it will be very possible for a national message. That is what we party PAP are doing. That is why we told the CRM leaders and said, no, if this is the case, our message should be what? National front for resistance, not based on any personal agenda of any political party. It is after the departure of this government that we are going to discuss on how to manage a transitional government. It is very, very possible, you know. In most dictatorship, they always believe that some political parties are small, some leaders are making noises and that. But to shock you, it is those very little efforts of some individuals that make things to actually happen. The biblical allusion of David and Goliath is not false. It's applying up to today. So we should learn lessons, and we should understand that these are things that we should take very, very serious as Cameroonians.
And so it should also be a record that the opposition's vis-a-vis their concerns on these elections holding and not holding is not united. The other parties are asking for additional points, like apart from the Anglophone crisis, there should be a revision of the electoral code, and that is including your other party, your political party. Meanwhile, others like the SDF just want the Anglophone crisis to be resolved, and they will go ahead.
The Anglophone crisis is a preoccupation of the Popular Action Party. That's our bastion of support, like many other parties. But then, the principal cause of the multiple problems of Cameroonians is the regime in Yaoundé. If this regime goes, so many problems of Cameroonians will be solved. Let us work together in hand to tell these people, it is time for you people to go, for us to fix our country. That will be the definite solution. Even the Anglophone crisis will be resolved in the transitional, in the political transitional process. So that will solve all the multiple problems. People who want to maintain this government and ask for sectoral reforms are not sincere, to me, because the government had proven beyond reasonable doubt that they are unable to solve the problems of Cameroon by all disposition.
Fabrice Lena, thanks very much for your presence. It was an interesting chat with you.
Thank you too very much. I'll always be ready to give my contribution as a patriotic young Cameroonian, and call other youth to always bring forces together for us to see how to propel our country to better prosperity. Thanks.
A young Cameroonian, Fabrice Lena, he is the Secretary General of the Popular Action Political Party. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for your very kind attention. Stay with Equinoxe Television. Interesting programs are just ahead.